Yo!
Yayo Talk Show!
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Molly.
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Marco.
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Kaden.
Dreamin'!
Al's name didn't fit. They talk about the show, this group of four friends been going for 1,000,000 years, there's no end. Watching every arc and saga, no sleep. It's the king of anime, 1,000 episodes deep.
Yayo! 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 Talk show!
Talking about One Piece.
It's the name of the podcast.
We're not on Vine. Yayo Talk Show. Talking about
One Piece.
What's up, wenches, privateers, and non-binary buccaneers? Welcome aboard to the most chaotic One Piece podcast on the Grand Line internet. Let's introduce you to the crew. First, the seemingly begrudging captain of the CrUno Pirates, Molly D. Simpy. What's wrong, Molly?
I fucking hate it here.
And that's our one right off the bat.
Wow, I can't believe we used it already.
Wild spirits, Kaden Jensen.
Oh, well, I have so much to say, and I can't even talk about half of it because it's not this arc yet.
So that means we got to get through Skypeia so we can get to that wild theorist part of the show. And of course,
Discordia.
the brave. Nope, that's not you. That's me. The resident. Same hat. The resident life doctor, Al McClellan.
Hi everybody. I'm apologizing in advance because I wrote 7 pages for today. So
Oh my god.
Please don't.
I mean I'll read fast.
I love that the whole point of like, okay, we need to make this a little bit more on rails and we need to like give ourselves some guidelines. And Molly's just like, I made a couple paragraphs. And Al's just like, dissertation.
I wrote the other 51.
I asked everyone to do homework so we can slim down Skypeia into an Uno episode. And I guess Al wants extra credit or something.
A lot happens.
Al brought +4 cards. That's his whole hand.
Al brought a PowerPoint.
And I'm Brave Warrior of the Sea, the internet's Mark Bidonica. This will be a very interesting episode for a variety of reasons.
Will
We can
it?
do it. We can do it.
Before
Will
we get to
it?
Skypeia, Kaden, what episode are you currently on?
The episode where Lenti shows up for the first time. I'm watching the dub again, and it's 4:32. I'm in the middle of
We can't, for people who aren't there yet.
I'm in the middle of a different arc that is absolutely
Kaden's
bananas.
mad because we won't say the saga name.
I don't know what it is yet, and I'm just like, I know the moment I hear the saga name, I'm gonna be like, okay, I have so many thoughts.
But neither do some of you.
But we're really excited that some of you are deciding to both join us and Kaden on this voyage through the most show in seemingly in anime history.
But guess what? It's like only in the top 20.
Yeah, not even like it's not even like close to number
So
one.
people can't even use that excuse, all right?
No. There was a thing going around recently, and I feel like we need to talk about it because it's going around a lot now. Like, we have to talk about the fact that, like, there is a tweet going around that says, why does the number of One Piece episodes stop you from watching it? No one said you had to watch all of it at once. Try it and watch it at your own pace. And that's it. Like, that's the truth of it all. It doesn't matter how long something is. I mean, One Piece is very long, but every show you watch should be watched your own speed. I don't care if everybody's like waking up at 4:00 in the morning to watch, Falcon and the Winter Soldier or WandaVision. Watch it when you want. Block tags on social media so you don't get spoilers for it. It's just like binge watching is when and how you want to do it. Period. End of story.
Super agree. And
Yeah.
I mean, not only does that mean that more people are joining us on this adventure, but also more people are taking in this like Odyssey-esque sea voyage that was brought to us by Ichiro Oda.
I was about to say there's less torture in this than the Odyssey, but I'm not sure
You're
that
not
that's
quite
correct.
through the arc you're through yet.
I was about to be just like, well, no, there's a lot more torture and horrible nonsense in the Odyssey compared to what, and I'm like, Wait,
Everybody,
wait.
all of us are standing behind Caden, shaking our heads right now.
Yeah, I was just like, I was about to finish that sentence. Like, never mind. Like, I know as this is coming out of my mouth, it's like, I'm wrong. So I'm just going to stop.
There are also some arcs that are years. Some sagas that are just like, oh my god, are we still here?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, but the great part
Cool.
is those are done, and you can just So actually, speaking of which, while we're still on it, the last time we checked in with how many episodes you were on, you were in the middle. You were 120 episodes back.
I was like still like near the beginning of Thriller Bark. I was probably like 342, I believe, was what I was at last time. It was right after meeting Jack
Bonesman.
Yeah, Jack Bonesman. I'm still trying. I'm trying to not say certain things.
Sure, then we'll leave it at that. But like,
yeah,
that's
like 110 episodes, give or take.
But you want to talk about going at your own pace. There are sections where you watch, 20, 30 episodes within a couple of weeks, and then you're like, no, I've got to move on. I've got to press on.
It's about the hyper focus, okay?
Not hyper focused enough.
My original nonsense was, if I kept the cadence, of how I was watching it before, which most of that was done during the winter holiday, which was about 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I went from East Blue to Sky Island.
That's a lot of anime.
It was a lot of anime. Because I started like, what was it? Romance Dawn, Orangetown, and Syrup Village. It took me a while to get through that, and that's when we did our first CrUno night.
Mhm.
And then between that first CrUno night and the second CrUno night, I was at the end of Alabasta, because you were all talking about like, because I said, it's like, I hope this person comes back, and it was Robin, and you're all just like, but the next time we had another CrUno night, it was during this arc. It was right as I was getting to the end of Skypeia.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in, I don't know the name of it, but past Thriller Bark. And
Way far.
my original projection was, if I kept up that pace, I'd be able to be caught up with One Piece by end of June. That was my original ballpark. But two things happened. One, I got really, really busy. Like really busy with my 9 to 5. And then I also got really busy with some VO work. So I really didn't have time. I was too busy doing anime stuff, so I couldn't watch anime stuff. So now that things have slightly calmed down a bit, I took a couple days and I binged 100 episodes or so of One Piece.
Caden is so close to getting to my husband. And I've seen some of you on our Twitter try to guess who that is, and you guys are wrong so far.
Well, we're gonna put out. So we played Mario Party recently, and
Mario
I
Marty.
mean, compared to when this is coming out, is like a
Boo.
complete mind meld of like, oh my god, there's so much time. But if you're listening to this, we probably have already put out. I wanna take Caden's guess of Molly's husbando and like form it into something, because you were, speaking of hyperfixation, you were so hyperfixated. I just want to share that with the world of this is what it's like to watch the show with Caden when she's on
It's
one of her tears.
it's one of those things that once my brain gets to a point, and this is how the Wild Theorist stuff comes out, is I'll be watching an episode and some character will say one small thing. You actually heard it. If you've been paying attention to the podcast, you heard it during the beginning of Alabasta when we recorded that, because Molly said one word, and my brain was just like, what was that?
Bookmark.
And then it just thought about it for a long, like, just like I needed, just like I was in my own head for a minute, and it's like, I'm going to talk about this later. I'm going to put a pin in it. I literally put a note that this thing I want to talk about. But during when I'm watching the anime and that I can just like jump into the text chat, I mean, cadence log on our server, I will pause an episode like 3 or 4 minutes into like the actual episode because one character like out of nowhere Zoro will say it's like, oh yeah, this particular sword, it came from Wano, and I'm just like, okay, pause. So we had a dead samurai, so this goes there, and then this happens here, and then this is like, okay, I have an idea, and then it's just a wall of text, and then Molly wakes up, and it's just like, what happened? What did I miss?
Teenager who just woke up. What? Why are there 200 messages since
It do be
6
like that, though.
a.m. my time?
It's I can get on a tear. When I go, I really go. There's sometimes where just like, this is an interesting thing. I think this will happen. And then I walk away from it. But then like 4 days later, I'm just like, I'm back to it. Here it is. I'm going to talk about it again.
Sometimes I feel like being on the East Coast can help me get ahead of it, and then I wake up and find out that you've stayed up all night watching the show.
I do have insomnia.
You're right.
And when the insomnia and the hyperfixation link up and turn like do the fusion dance and come together and turn Super Saiyan, it's like Super Saiyan God, then it's like, okay, I am unstoppable. But
100 episodes later.
Also, I'm skipping for people who don't know. I'm skipping intros until told otherwise.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it in Alabasta where they kind of spoiled that Robin was going to join the crew, and it's just like, well, that's kind of a little disappointing. I kind of wanted to learn that myself. So I've gotten to a point where I've skipped things. Oh yeah, they did the same thing with a Mr. Bonesman. But no, they didn't tease it as hard as Robin.
No, Robin was like walking with them.
Yeah, it was very obvious. Where Jack Bonesman, I'm just like, well, he's the musician. It's just like that's my boy. That's my man right there. That's the one we've been looking for since Baratier. But I'm skipping intros until the rest of the CrUno Pirates tell me it's okay to watch, and
yeah,
even so. They gave me an okay to watch something, a very recent one for the arc that I'm on, and they're just like, oh, it's safe. And then I went on. We recorded it during Mario Party.
We didn't say it was safe. We said you could watch it. We decided to let you watch it.
You got to a point where it was okay to watch it.
And how did that turn out?
Well, I don't want to talk about it.
That's what spawned into figuring out who Molly's husbando was.
That is
but
true.
We have. Listen, we'll get there. All right, we can just.
So there's a lot of stuff that we've sort of future-proofed, and when certain folks, like when we catch up in the show to those places, we have like bonus things that we're gonna put out and things of that nature. But one of the things that we asked our listeners to do, and something that we will then ask you to do too, if you weren't aware, we're on iTunes. We're on podcast services around the globe, and specifically with iTunes, you can leave a review for us. And when you leave a review for us, that's a star rating and then a little like written review. That helps us be more searchable. So if you want to help more people join the crew, it'll really help us out. It'll take a little bit of your time. You can leave us a review on iTunes. Also, if you are leaving one from outside of the United States, we can't see those reviews. So make sure to take a screenshot, tweet at us at Yayo Talk Show so that we can see it and we can read it, like these two folks that left us reviews. So I want to thank Nick Roche, who left us 1 billion berry rating, 5 stars. Been a fan of One Piece for a couple of years now, and a fan of Rooster Teeth for even longer. Seeing some amazing people from those communities come together to talk about the greatest things since the Rubber Man Hokey Pokey was a wish come true. Fantastic entertainment and analysis that I'll be happy to join the crew for. Keep dreaming on. Thank you, Nick. We also got one from T and Vines. Are you a longtime One Piece fan but could use a refresher on all that's happened, or a recent arrival who could use a buddy in the long journey ahead? Then join the CrUno Pirates as they navigate the seas of Oda's world. Al, Mark, and Molly are the ones going down memory lane as Caden steadily rose to catch up to current episodes. Their enthusiasm is infectious, the questions are fun to answer for yourself, and you'll quickly understand how Caden earned their nickname. As of writing this review, the CrUno Pirates have easily met my expectations of fun discussions without negative criticisms. I love how Kaden explains her predictions because you get a glimpse of how deep her understanding of anime and its elements is. Alas, I cannot describe how much I enjoy the energy they give off in the podcast. Give episode 0 a whirl, and you'll know by the end of it if Yayo Talk Show is for you. Thank you, T and Vines. Thank you, both of you. Thank you, T and Vines and Nick, for those amazing reviews. We really
That's so
appreciate it.
nice.
That's
That's
so,
so
like,
nice.
super nice. What the hickety heck?
Baka. You bakas. So
They're
nice.
all tougher now.
bastard!
Stop it. It's so stupid. But I was trying to see how like glottally I could get into my throat. But today's episode, we're going to be recapping the Skypeia saga.
Discord.
And
I'm gonna do it in one.
we're going to do it in one. We're going to certainly try. But Molly,
Knock on wood.
let's take us there to go on a journey.
Let's get into it. All right. We just left Alabasta. We just met Robin. Well, we knew Robin. Robin's part of the crew now. We got Robin. Robin's in the
My
crew.
wife.
My wife. And- okay. So they left Alabasta, but they run into a problem. The log post is pointing upwards into the sky. And as they're like, wow, that's crazy. What up with that? A giant ship falls from the sky, and they meet Masira?
I have to interrupt you, Molly. There are two filler arcs
No.
before we even get there.
No.
Which Goat Island, which was really cute, 3 episodes, not a big deal, and Ruluka, which was about 5 episodes. Again, not super long, just fun. You can skip them if you want. If you want to just go on to the arc that Molly's talking about, which is Jaya, then yeah, the log pose is broken. It's borked.
That filler's broken. All right.
Aw, the notes are cute.
No.
Get
No.
wrecked.
So anyway, they meet Monkey. They meet Masira?
The monkey.
No, go ahead. I want to hear you pronounce things. I want to hear
Molly,
you do this.
did you do your homework?
Masira. I'm trying to Masira.
Come on, you can get there.
Watashi. Yeah, no, that's a H. Shit. Masira. Monkey one. He's a
Mosquito, come on.
he's a pirate who salvages ships. So they end up fighting him underwater because there's some confusion while the boys are down below checking it out. And then the fight ceases because they almost get swallowed up by a turtle. But then that conflict gets resolved because these giant shadow mans appear in the sky, and everybody just runs for it. But luckily, since now we have Caden's wife, Robin, she had enough foresight to steal an eternal log post to get to Jaya.
Molly, do you keep calling it log post?
I do.
It's a log pose.
It's a log post,
We had the
like a
We have
post
the-
sign.
No, it's a pose.
we had the disclaimer in a previous episode that because of the dub quality when we were sort of coming up on One Piece, they just sort of took liberties with certain things. So some like things that have been translations in our head for a very long time may
True.
be inaccurate. So please be advised.
I'm wrong, but I won't say it right.
Yeah. That's our captain.
They go to Jaya. They go to this island called Jaya, and they roll up to this pirate port to a town called Mocktown.
Ugh.
It's already bad vibes.
Mm.
But yeah, Nami, Luffy, and Zoro decide to go into town, but not before Nami tells Luffy, or gets Luffy to promise not to fight while they're in town. And they kind of look around. They see some more bad vibes. Everybody's just rank with bad vibes here. It's just like, ugh, you know. And they end up at a bar where they meet somebody who Caden completely written off immediately.
It was. They didn't even say anything. It was just like, okay, it's just like some dude. Okay.
The cherry pie man.
Just some guy who Luffy's got beef with, but we just don't. It's just because Luffy doesn't like his vibes.
His vibes are rank.
I don't even know. I couldn't figure out. I'm pretty sure they don't say his name, so I don't know if I should say this name either.
They don't. They don't say his name.
No, they don't. Which is why everybody was just like, "Oh, I can't believe you just skipped over." It's like, how was I supposed to know? They didn't even give any hint. They're just like, "This guy's kind of a douche."
Stinky Pieman.
It was less of his moniker not being said, Kaden, and more of like I wasn't sure if they gave his real name.
They didn't say Bunk. They're just like,
Okay.
dude.
So there's a guy with like the worst vibes imaginable, like
Stinky
the
vibes.
stinkiest vibes imaginable, the most opposite of Luffy you can get. So they encounter that guy, and while they're at the bar, Bellamy, this dude called Bellamy, who we've seen his crew around Mocktown just being pieces of shit. Sorry, pieces of poo poo. Anyway, he shows up to fight Luffy because. And then before it all kicks off, Nami asks for information about Sky Island. And wouldn't you know it, everybody starts ridiculing them. Like it was just the bullying commenced. And I could relate. It didn't feel good, you know. It was just like it was an honest question. So everybody was being mean and bullying them. Nami said she takes back the no fighting rule, but Zoro and Luffy refuse to fight back. So they get beat to crap, and then they get laughed out of town, but not before the bad vibes guy encourages them and said they did a good job and that Luffy should keep seeking his dreams. And that's pretty gross.
What a jerk.
Well, it's somebody that seems to identify with the overall idea. Like it's somebody who's just like, okay, this guy is a reminder that you should fight for your dreams no matter what they are.
But like in like
I hate Bellamy. I hate Bellamy.
Well, yeah.
So the weird thing about Bellamy, like we've talked about a couple of the movies where
Dollar store rubber man. Like
that's what I'm
what-
saying. It's like the movie villains
freaking-
have these like he's not made of stone, but he's hard. Like it's these weird offshoot. So I'm sorry, Molly. Did I? Okay.
Sticking to the water. Sticking to the water.
But
He's
Bellamy,
not a rock, but he's hard.
he's horde. Bellamy seems like like a movie villain, like a filler villain.
Yeah.
Like so, it's weird to be like, oh, those two things were filler, but this isn't. But
Even
we
his
get-
face.
we get a super iconic moment with him here that people still kind of talk about him to this day just because of how Luffy reacted.
I will have to say the dub voice for Bellamy is the voice for Yusuke Urameshi in Yu Yu Hakusho. It's Justin Cook. He's got this voice of just like, ooh, Bellamy, I just don't, whatever your vibes are, man. And it's it's so sold in the performance, which is fantastic. I love to hate Bellamy.
Yeah. Anyway, bad vibes guy is just like, good job, kids. And it's like, oh, gross. Like, don't talk to me. Like, ew.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, basically. So then they go back to the crew and they go around the island and they encounter an empty house. It's like this kind of like weird, like flat house. And they find a storybook called Noland the Liar. And it's a story of this guy named Noland who found a city of gold and returned home and told the king. But when they got to the island where the gold was, it was gone. And was sentenced to death for lying.
Seems like an overreaction.
You know.
Yes, Midge.
But they meet Cricket, who's actually a descendant of Noland. And him and the two monkeys.
Yeah, you didn't introduce Monkey too, which
I'm
is
about to. Soju.
Shoujo.
Soju. The drink.
Shochu. Yeah. Molly.
Sorry.
Molly.
No, you're good, you're
Shoujo.
good.
Yeah.
No,
so-
no.
Shit.
Just say
Oh,
however you
brother.
want. We know who it is.
Monkey
Oh,
1
then-
and Monkey 2.
The green one.
Uh,
Mossbeard.
Yeah.
Marimas.
So him, Cricket, and the two monkeys, they all are salvager dudes. They dive down because they're trying to find evidence of the Golden City. They think it's sunk into the ocean.
Yeah.
And they decide to help the Straw Hats get up to Skypeia. And there's this thing called the knock-up stream. So it's like they think that's like the only way to get like yeeted up into the sky is basically getting punched by the ocean. So they're gonna fix up the merry-go so that it can fly. But the crew's got to find a south bird in the forest that will help do some kind of navigating or whatever. So yeah, while they're doing that, Bellamy and his crew show up and steal the gold that they found at the bottom of the ocean and beat everybody up. All the monkeys, all of the cricket get beat up. And then when the Straw Hats come back, Luffy decides that he's going to go back into Mocktown and get the gold back. So that's wild. Anyway, was it the Bane no Mi, the spring fruit? Spring fruit?
Spring fruit.
So
Yeah.
Dollar
Speaking
store
of dollar
version.
store Luffy.
Just yes. This it's like don't copy. It's like you can copy my homework. Just don't make it obvious. Okay.
But
There
yeah,
we are.
wild enough, Bellamy is no match for Luffy, who stops him in one really well-deserved punch.
The
good.
100 million berry man.
One of the first most satisfying punches in this show.
Oh, straight up.
This
there's
is
a couple of those.
By the
yeah.
way, this is when they say the name of Bad Vibes Man.
So they do.
Episodes later.
Okay. I don't know if I believe you, but
Not his full name. Not his full name. It was in the title card.
well, I
one of those
believe you.
It's the One Piece thing where it's just like it was one of those things where it's just like, hey, who is this guy? One Piece title card. His name is Blackbeard. Write that down. It's probably important. That's the name of this episode.
Except it wasn't. Caden totally wrote this guy off. It was the best. After all of your meta thinking, all of your insane theorists, you totally write off this guy.
One thing slipped by me. One thing.
Oh, so good.
There's so many quote beards. Like there are a lot of people that get introduced as X beard, Y beard, like whatever. And
X-Beard, my favorite.
Dude, Ybeard, let's go. That's my favorite Pokemon generation.
Pogger beard.
Ybeard.
Pogger's beard. Bugchamp beard. But it's one of those epithets that comes as a response to a character that I think we meet soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm getting there.
All right.
So anyway, Luffy punches Bellamy. Luffy grabs the gold, and he goes back to Cricket's house to return it. That didn't happen yet. I don't know why I wrote that. No, we didn't know that. Never mind. I'm going back to it. Yeah, so he goes back to Cricket's house. He returns the gold. And after overhearing the new bounties of Luffy and Zoro that they got after Alabasta, Blackbeard decides to target them. And then, just because, we just hard exit out of this arc and we go somewhere else and we go and see one of my favorite characters and one of Mark and Al's favorite characters, which two people who should need to meet. They shouldn't meet. I don't know why this happened, but it happened. But anyway, Ace and Buggy meet and party. That was a footnote I had to add. And then at the same time, Shanks sends a messenger to Whitebeard, asking to meet up, but Whitebeard said nah. And then at the same time of that, there's a meeting of the 7 warlords and Marines, and they're trying to discuss to see who will fill Crocodile's spot now that he's been defeated. And Mihawk is there, and some Flamingo guy is there, and some Bear guy is there.
They introduced their names there.
I know. I'm just doing my thing. Anyway.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get to so you can say their names. This is when they introduce them.
Oh, I know. But also. So then anyway, they're like discussing because Crocodile's weak sauce. This Clockwork Orange guy shows up, and he's recommending Blackbeard, and they're like, who? And he was like, don't worry, he's about to be TikTok famous soon. And then, so that we just cut right back to where our crew is. They just really wanted to segue that in before we even get to the next thing. Oda's like, it's going to be so exciting. I have to do this now.
Yeah, it was very, very weird to like go to like see Marie-Joie like that fast in hindsight. It's like we had no business being there. We had no business.
We had no business. He had no business introing Ace and Buggy. Okay, no business.
No, they kind of like. I get the vibes. Like I know you don't like Buggy, and I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Buggy, but like they kind of like just hung out, and it was fine.
Okay, it's fine. Anyway, Luffy returns the gold. They go up to the knock-up stream. And while they're waiting, the Blackbeard pirates show up to start a fight. But before they can start the fight, though, the stream knocks the Mary up into the sky and destroys Blackbeard's ship. Oh no.
That's what happens. It's the knock-up stream.
No.
Moving on.
Derogatory.
Please, Al, take it away.
So the knock-up stream fires the merry-go chicken up into the sky.
The best ship modification.
Right, with the ship modification.
I said it. It can fly now.
It's got wings and it's got like a rooster waddle on it, and it's adorable, and I don't know why they thought it would work, but somehow it works. And they land in the sky. Somehow the Going Merry can float here on the clouds like a white sea. It's beautiful. Usopp, excited, decides to dive into the fluffy ocean for a swim, but plummets to his doom because they're in the sky. He's rescued by Luffy and Robin that do a cool combo move where like an eyeball shows up on Luffy's hand, and then a bunch of hands fire out of his hand to grab Usopp as he's falling. After that, Chopper sees another ship explode in the distance and starts to react when a masked man on flying rollerblades with a shield and a bazooka flies up, knocks out Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji in like one move, and is about to shoot the Going Merry when suddenly a knight on a bird with a jester hat slams into him, saving the Straw Hats and their crew. Bazooka guy runs off, and the knight, who introduces himself as Gonfal, asks for payment in Extol. I think he asked for like 1 million Extol or something. It's a currency they don't have. To give them a whistle so they can summon him and his bird Pierre, who ate the horse fruit and is incredibly ugly when he turns into a horse.
Aw, come on.
As a bird, he's cute, but the transformation, everyone reacts is just like, ugh. Universal disgust. But he gives them that whistle to summon him if there's an emergency. They say they don't have the currency, and he's shocked to learn that they took the knock-up current to get there. So he just decides to give him the whistle for free. Pierre turns into a horse, and just for fun, seemingly for no reason, and they both fly off. The Straw Hats then slowly get pulled towards a thing that looks like the gates of heaven. It's literally like a giant sign that says heaven on it. As they approach, a little old lady with wings comes out and takes all their pictures, and then asks for 1 billion Extol per person. As entry fee into Skypeia. They say they don't have Extol again, but ask if they can come in anyway. The lady says, okay. And suddenly they get clamped by an express shrimp, which is literally just a giant shrimp, grabs the Going Merry, and rockets up into the sky. And then on the loudest PA system ever built, the old lady says the Straw Hats are coming and will await the judgment of God. A little ominous.
Just a smidge.
There is so much of that like allegory in this. Like I had Skypeia is one of those sagas is one of those arcs where a lot of stuff happens and you remember some of the stuff from it, but then going back and watching it, you're like, oh my, there is so much. This is a very dense but short arc.
Yeah. They also like introduced the first non-berry currency, which was the Extol, which had they just asked the right question, they would have been fine, because 1 berry is 10,000 Extol. Gotta ask about those exchange rates, everybody. When you're going to somewhere else that uses a different currency, remember to ask about the exchange rates, because 10,000 sounds like a lot in some currencies, but it's probably like $4 in another.
Apparently, if they went up the normal way, they would have run into like a currency exchange place.
Yeah.
There's several sky islands they could have visited on the way up there, but
Instead of taking either of the like government made roads, they just like yeeted through the middle of it.
mhm.
They Kool-Aid manned through the wall instead of
Yes. Well, through the floor, I guess.
yeah. Oh no.
They get dropped off by that trip at a place called Angel Beach, where people can actually swim in those clouds. It's like a little bit denser. They see a white fox and a winged lady named Canis and her engineer dad, Pagaya, who teaches them all about dials.
I love those two.
Yeah, so I'm gonna list dials and everybody talk about what their favorite one is. If you remember, there's a lot of dials. There's impact, axe, ball, breath, flame, flash, flavor, heat, lamp, jet, milky, iron, reject, tone, vision, water, and thunder.
Oof.
It's hard not to say tone dial because of Luffy's first thing is to call Usopp stupid.
I think I like the Milky Dial if that's what's on the wave runner. What do they call those? Like Nami's scooter. The waivers, yeah. If that's
think
the
that's-
dial for that.
I thought that was a jet dial.
It's jet or breath.
Okay, I like the jet one then. For like that it's like it's so specific to this area. Like you can't. Well,
No,
like,
you're right. I think it's the breath dial. Breath dial and jet dial are fairly similar, but like I think the breath dial can also like store smells, and they store a fart in one at some
No, flavor dial. It's my least favorite for reasons I'll get to later.
Uh-oh.
I think it's the jet dial because I remember Nami at the very end of like during my homework saying something like, "Let's see how fast this jet dial can go."
Yo.
So I think
Yeah.
I like that one for the scooter. For that, like reasons for the scooter. I like the scooter. The scooter's cool.
I like the impact dial for things I'm going to talk about in another saga.
Okay. So Nami rides off on Angel Dad's waiver for a minute while the cops show up. The Skypeia cops are these white beret dudes that literally crawl everywhere. Their captain tries to pin the Straw Hats with billions in Extol as tickets just for existing. Like everything they do is seemingly a crime.
Mood.
Luffy gets pissed, but Usopp tries to keep everyone calm in the hopes that Nami can come back with the brain cell. The cops get equally pissed. I should mention that the cops are wearing cloud pajama pants, and they have these arrows that they call Milky arrows that shoot little cloud pads that they can rollerblade on with their dial shoes. Anyhow, they get in a flying fight with Luffy, who does a crazy firework move, punching all the cops at once. And Nami currently rode her waiver over to Upper Yard, which is an island reserved for God Enel and his priests. And she sees a guy get absolutely annihilated by a beam of lightning that shot out of the sky. The priests Nami overhears say it was Enel trying to do a show of force. And they mention a bunch of criminals from the Blue Sea that just arrived. And Nami nopes out of there ASAP before anything else crazy goes down. And returns to Angel Beach, and seeing the trouble going down, uses the waiver to plow into the white beret captain, knocking him out. The cops panic. Nami says it was an accident, and the cops regroup, and take their captain back to base. I think they're class 2 criminals now, so the cops can't deal with them. It has to be priests that deal with them. They promise to come back to settle things the next day.
It's not their jurisdiction anymore.
Yeah.
The beat cops are no longer on it. It's the CIA who are coming down now.
They had to shut it all down. The Straw Hats regroup and decide to explore the city while Zoro, Nami, Robin, and Chopper wait on the boat. Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp are led by Canis into town. Suddenly, the Going Merry gets pulled away from shore by, holy crap, the Super Express lobster. It's a lobster, not a shrimp, and it's way faster, and it's taking them as an offering to God Enel. Meanwhile, Luffy comments on how Canis has been shaking the whole way to where they were going, and surprise reveal, Canis called the lobster to steal their ship and brought them up to the docks so that they would take a boat. to the upper yard because it's God's will, and not following God's will means death. With perfect timing, almost like Enel heard her, another bolt of lightning fires down from the heavens at Canis. But she's saved by Gonfall, who offers to hide her and her dad on his sky island out of Enel's range. So this, I guess to describe this beam, it's basically like an orbital cannon. Like you see all these light beams go to this one point in the sky, and this gigantic beam turns this full color anime into black and white, just like a nuke going off in the middle of this town. It's terrifying. Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp end up taking a crowboat, so they can go find the rest of their crew. The rest of the crew, meanwhile, find themselves on top of a sacrificial altar in a lake surrounded by sky sharks, which they kind of look like clowns a little bit. There's definitely some clown energy in those sharks.
I feel that. I think you're right. It's a
You're
little.
right.
The sky sharks are a little, a little flashy.
Just, just little.
Just a little, with sharp teeth, menacing. So Zoro, Nami, and Robin decide to look around for supplies and info while Chopper stays to repair the ship. Basically, the only reason is because he can't Tarzan swing on a vine across the lake like everyone else.
That's a shame. Shame.
He could have, but he was just scared.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it. It's too scary.
He's like he's 14. Leave the kid alone.
It's scary.
But then he gets super scared, realizing that now that he's alone, he's in the most danger.
It is also true.
Back with Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp, they're following this is just what they're called, Milky Roads. All of these cloud roads are called Milky Roads.
Woof.
Yeah. Into the forests of the upper yard, a path full of traps, sky sharks, spikes. I guess they're sharp. Spikes. Eventually, a big hand statue with gates marked Swamp Ordeal, Iron Ordeal, String Ordeal, and Balls Ordeal.
Balls?
Luffy picks balls because that sounds fun.
That doesn't. No, I thought it was Usopp. It's just like, well, that sounds the least threatening, and they even have this like discussion. It's like, but wait, if it sounds the least threatening, it might actually be the scariest. And they're just like, too late, we already chose.
Yeah. That said, they pass through the gate and then immediately plummet like hundreds of feet. Like the Balls Gate is just a waterfall that drops down into this lower forest, and they almost die landing. Notice that they're in this forest full of balls everywhere. These little cloud balls.
There's so many balls everywhere.
If we stop and laugh at every time Al says balls,
I'm not done. It
we will
keeps
be
going.
very
How
on
many
brand.
more times?
In Al's fairness, there are so many balls.
There's a lot of balls in the ball ordeal.
Is it the ball pit?
I mean,
Sort of.
God.
It kind of is. Welcome to DashCon. Here we are. It's the ball pit ordeal.
Oh, you get How many more times can Al say balls in this segment, though?
It's a lot, Molly. It's a lot.
No!
Do you remember this? Like, okay, so each ball contains something random, like snakes, or an explosion, or swords, or flowers, anything and everything.
Or a second ball.
Yes, it's a gachapon nightmare. The priest of this area, Satori, if you remember, he's a ball man, a man shaped like a ball.
A ballman.
He separates everyone from the boat using impact dials in his gloves, and can somehow predict everyone's moves using mantra. He makes a ball dragon of just exploding balls and throws them at Luffy, who accidentally discovers that they're tied to a string that Satori uses to control it. Luffy rips the string apart. Satori tries to rip it out of Luffy's hands, but ends up pulling Luffy and the bomb dragon at himself. Big boom. Luffy wraps himself around Satori so Sanji can kick the bejesus out of him with a move called Conkas, giving Satori a concussion.
Nice. You love to see it.
Did you do the hand when you said congas? Did you do the hand?
I did.
Oh, thank God.
You have to.
Same time.
Pinchy fingies.
You know,
Pinch.
Back with
as an Italian, I approve.
I approve the pinch.
back with Gonfall, smash cut. Gonnes and Pagaya hear about the war between the Skypeians and the Shandians. Gonfall was the previous god or ruler of Skypeia, that's just what they call their king, I guess, and tried to negotiate a peace, but was usurped by Enel and his priests before that could happen. Then we're back at the sacrificial altar. Priest Shura, a mustachioed pilot who rides a fire-breathing bird and carries a lance that can also shoot fire, finds Chopper, is the only one left at the ship. Chopper, terrified, like his first reaction is just to blow the emergency whistle. Shura fire attacks the ship and does a lot of damage to the Going Merry. The mast falls off and like falls into the lake on fire. Gonfall shows up to stop the onslaught, but is quickly defeated when Shura begins the ordeal of string, trapping Fall and Pierre in midair in it's a bunch of string.
Oh god.
And stabs straight through him. Gonfall, Pierre, and Chopper end up falling through the clouds, and we don't see what happens to them quite yet. Because with Robin's group, they're wandering around the forest. They end up discovering a bit of old architecture that looks exactly like something they saw on Jaya, which reveals that this island was the part of Jaya that got missing. I don't know. It didn't sink. It got rocketed up into the air.
It disappeared.
It disapparated.
Yeah,
It got knocked up.
exactly.
Everybody got knocked out.
Gonna take that
You
from
know,
Mark.
everybody getting knocked up, and then there's an ordeal of balls, and then you got a deal of string to go along with the ordeal of balls. I mean,
And then after everybody's all
it's
tired,
swampy.
we hit the ordeal of swamp. Yep.
It's so swampy.
I'm that meme where the guy is like digging his fingers into his knee to not laugh every single time. It's so hard, you guys.
what's funny about balls, Molly?
Bali. Got him.
Oh man.
Got it.
But anyway, they find out that means that the lost city of gold from Lyre Nolan's tale could be on the island they're on. So it's a callback. Chopper wakes up back on the sacrificial altar with Gonfall and Pierre. They were rescued by a bunch of real big Southbirds. These are like colossal sized.
Yeah, don't they have that like honk kind of sound? That was so good.
Large birds.
Large boards.
Big, it's related to Big Bird. Related?
Question mark, question mark, question mark. Red string everywhere.
Ordeal of red string. Big Bird Muppet. Birds from Jaya? Question mark. Large Bird.
Large bird moopet.
Ordeal of red string parentheses Pepe Sylvia.
So at the Shandian encampment, I think this is the first time we go there. A girl named Aisa who also has the power of mantra tells Wiper, the bazooka wielding rollerblader from earlier, what's happening on Skypeia, and Wiper wants to take advantage of the chaos and attack with a large troop of heavily armed Shandians. Noisily, they threateningly rollerblade towards the upper yard. It's like each of their rollerblades makes a different sound.
I was hoping you had like a really wild description of the sheer 90s chaos that is a bunch of bewinged people with weapons rollerblading to glory.
Yep.
Bewinged.
They rush through the forest and pass over Luffy's group. Wiper just reflexively shoots a bazooka round at their tiny crowboat, which Luffy deflects. He goes Fusen and like launches it off in a random direction. Wiper warns them not to interfere, and then they continue flying off to engage in combat with the remaining priests. But Kamakiri, a big-goggled and feathered Shandian, is defeated, forcing Wiper to retreat. Then all the Straw Hats regroup at the sacrificial altar, but decide to camp in the forest to try and prevent any more damage to the Going Merry in case they get caught again. They cross-check their info and realize that the maps of Skypeia and Jaya make a skull, so the right eye of Jaya is here in Skypeia. That's where the Gold City is. The Straw Hats decide that they'll steal some gold before returning to the ocean, parentheses normal, Luffy starts a bonfire, which draws a pack of wolves that Nami somehow impresses by smacking them. And they throw a big festival together, sharing the stew that Sanji made. The ingredients that Usopp and Chopper brought were bananas, rats, fish, garlic, and carrots. So they added everything except for the bananas and rats, I think, because Nami complained.
Nice.
I think I saw that on like a tasty video on Facebook.
Yeah.
Mush the rats into the bananas.
You just see them setting up all the ingredients, and at first it sounds good, and then it's like, add a rat. And you're like, excuse me? And it's like, no.
Why do I follow this channel?
A smidge of rat to that, please.
Add the rat. Now scoop out the rat. It's too much rat. So while this is happening, Ganfall explains how much value dirt has up in Skypeia. They call it Verth. And it's more valuable than gold because it grows things way better than clouds can. Obviously, I guess that makes sense to me. Upper Yard is basically like a holy land, which led to the war with the Shandians. After the party, Usopp goes to take a leak by the river, but sees a figure repairing the Going Merry. No one should be there, so it's obviously a ghost. He panics and runs away. In the morning, they find that the ship has been mostly repaired. The mast is back up. Metal plates have covered a lot of the damage. And the ship is returned to its original state, which is weird because no one outside of the crew should know what that looked like. Anyway, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji scheme to get Gonfall out of the Upper Yard while Luffy, Robin, Zoro, and Chopper go to the city in the Eye. They don't dwell on it, I guess, because they don't want to dwell on ghosts.
Yep.
I wanna reiterate at this point of Al's PowerPoint that in the manga and in the anime, they are perpetually showing maps to explain where everybody is and what they're up to because there's just so much happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They started doing this. They started doing that in Alabasta because everybody kind of like split up, and there were so many like points that it was like, okay, hold on. We're gonna take the first couple minutes, and this is where One Piece started to do the One Piece thing, where the first 7 minutes is here's the intro. We're gonna talk about what happened last time. We're gonna show you where everybody is and why they're doing the things they're doing currently, because we've been doing this for a while and we've been throwing a lot of names at you, so you're gonna want to pay attention. And actually great, especially like. I'm going to praise One Piece for something that I wish more RPGs would do, which is when I turn on the game again, when I turn on the RPG again, and I start it up, sometimes my brain go, what was I doing again? And One Piece is just like, if I took a month break from One Piece, and it just like came back, it's like, last time we saw Nico Robin, Monkey D. Luffy, and Rorono Zoro walking into the forest to get, I don't know, apples or something. And meanwhile, Chopper was playing Tiddlywinks with Usopp, and Sanji was counting money with Nami. And it's like, okay, good, thank you. I needed this because I took a bit of a break. I took a moment, and now you gave me all the information I needed to, and now I can skip the intros again until I take another break.
I think Pokemon did that, like starting Gen 6, maybe.
It did it in the DS games for a bit, and now it doesn't.
It was so helpful.
It was so great, and I wish more RPGs would do it. And hey, it would be nice to have a. Do you remember what happened last season on the anime? Have it like just a reminder of the stuff that happened, especially if you take a couple years between season 1 and 2. It'd be great to like have more catch up stuff like that. I like that stuff. Anywho, so the survival games begin because now everybody's kind of together, but the first thing they do, much akin to Scooby the Gang, they decide, all right, let's split up, which is very logical. So they all decide to go, Luffy, Robin, Chopper, and Zoro all decide to go to the ruins at the south.
Got it?
Here's the problem. Luffy and Zoro don't know anything. Chopper is a child, and Robin's the only one with a brain.
Robin's adulting.
Robin is an archaeologist, so Robin knows the cardinal directions. So Luffy, Robin, Chopper, and Zoro, they all go into the forest. All of them get lost except for Robin, and they all start heading in various different directions. Zoro obviously just starts walking, and he gets lost for quite some time. We'll come back to him later. Luffy ends up in some like weird cave thing, and the reason they got all separated is because this giant snake showed up, which is,
Snack.
it's not going to come back, and it's not going to be important at all, but we'll put a pin in it anyway. And they just kind of like go off into different directions, and not a tremendous amount happens for them, but we start, learning a little bit more about, the Shandorians and Gonfall and Sky Island itself, and a little bit of the history. And we also start seeing, our first appearances of the god Enel. How have you guys been pronouncing it?
I pronounce it NL, but Enel would also
Enel,
make sense too.
Enel, because
Enel.
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 Okay. I'm just curious to see how everybody pronounces things.
Let's Romanize it.
Yes. Hey, you know what? Sometimes words are hard to say in other languages, which is why translations are a thing, and it's very complicated.
Come together as a family.
Yeah. Big ups to our translators. We love them very much, and without them, we would not have dubs, which most people actually need, because sometimes subtitles are hard. Also, sometimes some of us are half deaf, and it's hard to hear things. So having subtitles and the dub makes things way easier. Pointing generally at myself. Let's see what else happens. There's a lot of like chaos war shenanigans that are happening here. We've got these like original people who inhabited the island who are now up here generations later, and so it's like, don't worry, it's like this is what you were born for, and it's basically kind of a Skypeia civil war in some weird way, shape, or form. We get a lot of backstory about the Shandorians and Enel and what everything happened here. Enel just kind of showed up one day, and they're just like, well, he's kind of like a god, because he controls, the elements. ? And Enel starts talking about, okay, here's my plan. Here's my plan. Everybody's gonna die. And that's Enel's plan. It's like, I'm bored at this point. By the time the Straw Hats have shown up, Enel's getting kind of like frustrated with this ongoing war between the Shandorians and the rest of the people who live in Skypeia. So he's just kind of like, I'm gonna cut and run. Which,
Is everybody cool with genocide?
I mean, Enel is.
Just
He's pretty all right with it. Like, I
Okay,
mean,
alright.
he's definitely down with it. The Straw Hats might not be, but they don't know about this plan yet. Zoro ends up fighting Braham, which I kind of dig. I don't know. Does everybody
He's got
like
a
Braham?
beanie, a midriff jacket.
Does everybody like Braham? Because I like Braham. Braham was fun. No,
Yeah, I like them.
he's got like
Braham.
hat and shirtless, but he's got a jacket on.
Bruh. Did
Because-
he have the hair? No, he
he's
had a
got
hat.
He had a hat. Yeah.
He's like Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie with pistols.
Yeah, with guns, and I liked Braham. Braham was a fun, like,
I liked hair guy. I liked him more.
shocking. But I don't say that. I know it always sounds sarcastic, but it's not. It's like, it's not shocking to me at all. It's just like, it's very on brand for you, and I approve. But Zoro and Braham fight each other for a bit. But Zoro, like being Zoro, is just like, I'm just gonna, one sword style this and pow. Okay. So Braham eats it, but Straw Hats are good. They don't really kill anybody unless they do, and I don't know that yet. Luffy ends up in a fight with this character named Wiper. And again, this is like the best way to talk about
no wiping.
Yeah, the
Swiper!
Like, it's really a bad name.
it is. It's like, don't forget to wiper your
Ooh, okay.
don't forget to wiper your ball ordeal.
Oh no.
Oh, Swampy. Oh, no.
Oh no! No! Everything's getting cut.
Oh, Molly, are you editing this one?
Everything.
Wiper's been this character that's been following everybody around a little bit. The one with the mask and the bazooka. And Luffy ends up fighting him. And I'm not gonna there's a lot of little fights here, which are just we're meeting these characters, we're fighting them, the Straw Hats are beating them, but it turns out that these people that the Straw Hats are fighting, they are the Shandorians, and they're the good guys here because this was their land originally, and everybody's just trying to take it from them, and they successfully did. The people of Skypeia saw this island show up, and we learn a little bit about how, oh look, this island came out of nowhere, and we can grow plants on this. So let's,
colonize it.
Take the natives' land away from them, throw them in the lower cloud level, and then give them nothing for it. Which really does kind of piss off the Straw Hats because they're just like, well, that doesn't sound right. So let's steal all their gold for realsies now. We're going to take the whole shebang. We're not going to steal some of it. We're going to steal all of it, give these people back their land, and beat the hell out of God. Which, baller move. I respect it. At the same time... Wow, this is going to be that episode, ain't it? We're just going to be living in that. We're just going to be swimming in the ball pit.
Swimming in balls, baby.
While those two are fighting their respective fights, we've got Chopper against Priest Gadatsu, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember Gadatsu's what's his spiel? He's got the weird hair and the weird stances. This dude is the Ordeal of Swamp Guy.
He has hair like Aku, or Aku has hair like him. It's unclear.
It's unclear which and where it all goes, but
what?
He tries to talk while biting his lip, and he can't cross his arms properly, so he keeps snapping his arms across.
He's just a big bundle of weird.
Yeah, he doesn't talk out loud sometimes, where Chopper will yell at him, and Gadatsu will just I'm talking inside of my own mouth and in my own head, and then Chopper's just say something, you bastard, and it's oh wait, I haven't been talking at all. Oops.
He keeps forgetting to do things that you forget to breathe, but your body automatically does it unconsciously, but he'll stop breathing, and it's bro, just breathe.
Oh, that's right. Remember to breathe.
Sticking food in his ears instead of his mouth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This list is bonkers.
Open your eyes so that you can see.
You're rolling your eyes through the back of your head. Blink instead.
I'm gonna skip around this next part, and I'm gonna come back to it because it's nicer to have that as the dramatic attention, the whole thing. While those three are having their fights, guess who else is having a fight? Robin, because of course. And she finds the chief enforcer, Yama, and Yama is this giant, not giant, but very big person.
He's shaped like a bell.
He's shaped, he's shaped like a bell. He's shaped like a bellman. And they have this really this is one of those moments where I am so in love with Nico Robin. I know I'm gonna do it again. I'm sorry, Molly. But you immediately tell that Robin is not threatened. Robin has the time to put her stuff down.
She's taking out her hoops.
Yeah, it's just let me take my earrings off. I'm going to take my hat off. I'm going to put it over here. You know what? I don't really want to get my new boots because I was new boot goofing once I joined the Straw Hats. I'm going to take these off because I don't want to get them scuffed. And just kind of almost mops the floor with them really fast. None of these three necessarily have too big of an issue with their respective fights. and they all end up coming together soon. But meanwhile, while that's all happening, Gonfall and Nami, and I believe it was like Gonfall, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp are all on the ship. Usopp and Sanji get TKO'd by Enel, who just kind of like shows up with a lightning and just goes, all right, they're done. We out. And nobody can even hit. Oh, wait, there was another duo there. Was it? Frick, I'm forgetting something. Somebody help me.
Was it honest?
It was the duo, the
The
weirdos.
brothers?
Yeah.
Forgettable. So
Yeah, Hotori and Kotori.
Yeah, Hotori and Kotori. You know what? You know what happens to them? They show up, some shenanigans happen, that's their fight, and Nami does a great job. Congratulations, Nami. You're starting to learn how to fight. That'll come in handy later when you actually get a weapon.
So one of them uses a flavor dial to store farts as an attack.
There it is, yeah.
A flavor dial.
I forgot about these guys entirely.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's Hotori and Kotori are these two, like, they're like goat people.
And we're back to go.
Yeah. It's
and
like
we're
roulette.
back to goats. Yeah, and it's just like, I am Hotori and I am Kotori. And they're just like, okay.
We summon Gate Guardian.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's exactly what they are. It's like, one of us has the exit and the other has your eternal doom. Pick your exit. And the other one, and it's just like, I have a fart dial. Which is bad for everybody involved. But at that point, Enel shows up and kind of reveals that, shocker, he's invincible. Like, you can't touch him. Like, the dude is untouchable.
Literally made of lightning.
Literally made of lightning. And everybody's just like, well, he's a god. And then every one of the Straw Hats is just like, devil fruit. Devil fruit bastard.
The
Bastard
devil.
devil fruit.
It's the devil.
It's the devil.
It's the devil.
So let's see. We get through all those fights. Lovely fights. Then, of course, we finally get to Priest Ohm, who has been vaguely talked about a little bit more, and each one of these people have had a percentage of chance to beat them. The ball ordeal was 10%. Chopper is now fighting Priest Ohm, who has a 0% chance. And he is the Ordeal of Iron, which basically means that he's got a big old sword, and he's voiced by Troy Baker, which is really cool. To just pepper that in there while we're still here. We also got everybody making their big mad dash to Giant Jack, which Giant Jack is this big beanstalk that goes from the upper yard to where God and El lives. We don't actually technically make it all the way up there. At least the Straw Hats don't. Everybody kind of meets halfway to a degree. So Zoro, who has now finally shown up and gotten unlost, Gonfall and Wiper all start fighting each other because Chopper, poor little lad, got beaten, and Zoro's mad because that's his little younger brother.
Buddy.
It's my little reindeer friend. How dare,
Bro.
My
Baby.
little furry man.
Bruh.
Zoro, keep it together.
Nami ends up getting swallowed by a giant python alongside Isa and Gonfall. Which, don't worry, we'll be coming back to the snick, the danger noodle, again. Put a pin in it one more time. I know we say we'll put a pin in it, but don't worry, we'll come back to it all the way around one more time.
Snick.
Ohm creates this like barbed wire field that makes it almost impossible to actually fight fair, even though he keeps saying this is like, you gotta fight fair. He keeps like pulling this move where it's like, no, you can't even move without getting hit by these barbed wire cages. But yeah, guess what? Zoro is gonna Zoro and uses another one of his techniques. I believe it's the 108-pound cannon, and just blasts Ohm. And hey, check it out. Straw Hats win again.
My God.
Pog
Can we
champ.
talk about Ohm's dog for a second?
Ohm's got this giant. It's like Clifford the Big Red Dog that like doesn't realize that it can have its own choices in life. And then once that's told, it's like, you don't have to be doing this. It's like, then just kind of like is pacified, which is pretty much, that's like kind of like super dangerous dog until the dog's just like, oh wait, dogs can be friends. Dogs
Free will
can
question
also
mark?
be friend.
Friend dog.
Dog friend.
Hopper to bar. Hopper.
A number of the folks get knocked out by Enel because Enel's just kind of like zipping around the battlefield at this point, just kind of like KOing people left and right. Nami, Isa, and Gonfall start figuring out why the Python is like all pissed off, which is essentially it's got an angy tummy. It's got a pain in it. It's got a little pain in its side. It hurts. It's like finding a lion with a little needle in its paw.
Is it just gas?
It could be.
Is
Luffy
it gas or
punches.
cancer?
No, no.
What could it
Holy
be?
no!
Is Luffy? Man, never would have guessed.
Oh my
So now that like Priest Ohm and much of the rest of the Enel's inner circle are kind of KO'd, Enel's just like, all right, I'm done with y'all. I'm tired of this. I'm gonna bring everybody here to me. Everybody come on over. We're gonna have a nice little chat.
All right, everybody huddle up.
Where Enel just beats the shit out of everyone.
That was rude.
He takes out Gonfall. He takes out Robin. He is Zoro like vaguely is like, I still got you, and then Elsa's like, cute. And they try to like everybody's just like, well, we don't really necessarily all like each other right now because we're still trying to find out like what everybody's vibes are. But they all decide to try one big time to take down Enel. Specifically Zoro and Wiper like team up to be just like, all right, you use your super mega weapon and I'll use my super mega swords and we will lose immediately. So Nami's just kind of like hanging out, trying to be quiet because
Nami is also there.
Yeah, Nami's there, but like
Nami's also there.
trying not to be seen by Enel at all. Luffy finally gets out of where he was lost, which was shocking. The cave that he was lost in was inside the snake, along with Isa, only to find himself coming face to face with Enel. And everybody's kind of already lost. The Straw Hats are pretty torn up. It's pretty rough. So that's kind of where we leave off in this grand battle between Monkey D. Luffy and God Enel begins. Everybody's kind of done at this point. Nobody can. 90% of the people who are fighting cannot stand anymore. Most of the Straw Hats are either terrified or knocked out,
Or just fried.
or literally just
Terrified.
sticking a fork in the in the outlet. They're kind of done, and Enel is smug about it because nobody can touch him. However, there is one thing that Enel doesn't know that Luffy does know. Luffy finally gets the brain cell. And why is that?
Well, Al, you sounded like you were about to say something.
Well, I just want to emphasize like how much of a threat is here. Like when Zoro and Wiper teamed up to get him, Wiper actually stopped his heart. Like he had that reject dial that's like it's an impact dial, but it multiplies power, and he hit him twice in the heart and it stopped.
Yeah, it's the impact dial to a point where impact dials, and by the way, you store a hit in it and then you return the hit, but it also hits you. So Wiper did this thing twice, which blew him to kind of bits almost, like really tore him up inside. But Anel's heart did stop. But Anel is made of lightning
He
and just decided to
defibrillated his own heart.
yeah, he defibbed himself. So it's dangerous.
Hacks.
Clear.
Unfortunately, Luffy watched Pokemon as a child and realized that Pikachu's one weakness is rubber gloves.
Pikachu's
Mhm.
one weakness is rubber type Pokemon. So like as with any arc, and especially up to this point, it's been a thing of once Luffy gets to the big bad, stuff's gonna go down and we're gonna start getting into endgame territory. And this is one of those ones where Luffy's journey was so like, all right, take a left here, and it was just such a long time to eventually get him face to face with Enel, which gives us so Nami goes with Enel because to try to save her life and figure out a way to escape, where Enel reveals this gaudy ass, golden ass, lightning powered arc, which reveals why he's been looking for gold the whole time, is because it's an excellent conductor. Custom makes this arc to escape with his champions and just destroy everything. But that's when Luffy confronts him and gets hit with 20 million volts. Just everything that Enel has. And Luffy just shakes off, because literally this is the first time in the series, and maybe even the only time, where we have the two
Spoilers.
polar opposites, or maybe I'm just being vague. Two polar opposite elements, like just two things that are, one thing is completely ineffective against something else. In lightning, Enel's lightning and Luffy's rubber, but the one thing that Enel has that Luffy doesn't is the ability to change on the fly. Because of his experience, that pesky mantra ability, and sheer speed, it still puts Luffy at a major deficit, because he still has to get hit by Luffy. So Luffy then changes his strategy to try to get close, but then Enel starts using the burn damage from electrocuting the gold, and then changes his staff into a trident, and Luffy gets put on the ropes as Maxim, the gaudy ass ship, gets taken down. But throughout this first round, we find out about Deathpeia, which is super genocide. So not only is he going to drop the island, but he's going to enact super genocide to start huge storms to destroy the rest of the island and all of its inhabitants. And I believe this is where Canis ends up convincing all of the citizens to GTFO, which causes a huge panic. But the cops are actually helpful here and help people leave the island and find boats and find ships. So
There's a first time for everything.
there's a first time for everything. Not Marines, but helpful. We get a lot of cutbacks to random citizens just going like, "Oh, where's my baby?" And like, I can't believe God would do something like this, which just adds more padding and more fill of just like, I really want Luffy to punch this guy again, which stakes and that sort of stuff. We have to care about the citizens.
Well, and it's also like the white berets that have been crawling around this whole time crawl around because they don't want to get zapped. So it's just for their own protection.
And now when they're like, "Oh, God sucks," all right, let's go. let's get everybody to safety. But through this, we get the first use of one of Luffy's strongest attacks, which is Gummo Gummo no Airhead.
Oh
Where
yeah.
he just stops quote thinking and just starts dodging effortlessly, but in just like relying on that instinct, he doesn't create any sort of an opportunity for himself to attack. Which the one thing that I will say about this whole like final fight sequence with Enel is there is so much comedy in it that helps, like starting with Enel's memeable reaction and just going all the way through it. There are these random breaks in the episode where we get Usopp's antics or Usopp's anticing or like any sort of fun comedic moment, and we're just getting this meme face. No, we're getting Gumma Gumma no Airhead. We're getting all this different. There's a joke later that I'm very excited to get to because it'll make Molly laugh again. But
Oh no.
Anel finishes round 1 with the victory by affixing a giant golden orb to Luffy's arm, turning him into an anchor. No matter what sea he's in, Luffy just can't seem to catch a break. But Isa and Luffy survive the ordeal and a giant lightning strike as Sanji and Usopp make their way to the ship to try to save Nami. But Nami was Luffy lend me your... Oh, she gets Luffy's hat again. So that automatically lends us another era of emotionally being reminded of Arlong Park.
Yes.
And Nami actually standing up for herself this go despite all odds. And when she has her... Now that she has a climate act and understands how Enel is changing the different weather patterns, she feels confident enough to use her knowledge of the weather to, at the very least, keep Enel from killing her outright.
Mm-hmm.
Is an awesome evolution of Nami's character at this
And
point.
right here is where the anime decides to do something what I like to call the in the middle of the big fight, let's do some backstory.
We're not
Flashbacks.
quite there.
We're not? I thought it was
It was
right
a
there.
couple of more episodes because we do have Usopp and Sanji
that's
confronting
right.
Enel and taking the ship down and have one of my favorite Usopp showing up face to face to Enel and just going, wait, Sanji's not here? Pause. Goodbye. Close the door. And it's just like,
Please.
oh, I can't. It was also the debut of Usopp's spells, and they were
Yes.
completely ineffective. Enel, this guy's good. But one of my favorite jokes, when Luffy lands and wakes up, he was like, I gotta my Kintama, which he referred to the gold ball as a testicle, to which Isa whipped around and was like, don't call it that. It's just one of those things like, okay, that's a funny language joke. And we got Molly again. That's why I wanted to say that. But as Molly, your tea's done. Your tea is but once Usopp, Sanji, and Nami escape from Maxim, Luffy starts getting the ball rolling, literally, to try to catch up to where they think Enel is going to be. And as the crew reconvenes for Luffy and the Shandians start to vacate their place as well, Enel starts sending lightning throughout the island, and that's where we get our 400 years ago flashback. We learn about Kalgara, the brave warrior of the Shandora, a fierce warrior that helped protect the society from any and all folks that were here that tried to come upon their land. Kamo Daddy, as I put it in my notes, Kamo Daddy Noland arrives on the scene because oh boy, that boy buff. But
yeah, shockingly enough, Nolan the liar is Nolan the ripped as hell.
Nolan the hottie.
Nolan the daddy.
The daddy. Damn.
I know the
So
difference.
lying down so he can bench.
What? He's a daddy, but also he's like a decent human being.
Yes, he's a good
Also,
man.
he has a chestnut on his head.
Also, he's got.
I'll say
No, I can't.
no.
He's got a nut on him. He's got a
Molly?
nut on his head.
Not.
Finish the thought.
Not.
Wait.
Nut.
Thank you.
Hey.
Money well spent.
The purpose of this flashback is to sort of get to know the Shandoran history, and we find out that Nolan was part of their future integration into the world and sort of like opening their borders up to sailors instead of sending them away, and
Slash murdering them.
murdering everybody. And there's this friendship that develops between Nolan and Kalgara, where Nolan uses the knowledge that he's used on his journey to help cure this plague that is ravaging the Shandoran culture. And there's so much. Just
Turns out, dude's a botanist.
Nolan's botaning.
Sexy botanist.
That sexy tree
Like-
guy.
Damn, doe. What?
But from this from this flashback, we finally see the golden bell that has been talked about the past couple of episodes, and we have sort of, all right, this is what we're looking for. We know what it looks like. And there's also, we see that there's a poneglyph there. And so, okay, we have to see this bell before the end of this arc so that Robin can translate it. But this was where the Shandorans and the Golden City got knocked up into the sky, and when okay, so that's what this feels like. But Nolan tells the king that he found a city of gold, and so the king sets sail with the whole armada, presumably to take it. But the whole island's missing, and so Nolan is concerned about his friend, and Calgar is concerned about his friend. You know, these guys, total bros. But as a result of Nolan's quote lie, he was sentenced to death and beheaded. Like, what's government?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Government don't give a crap how sexy and daddy you are. If you a liar, you're dead.
What? You helped out people that aren't your people? Death.
I don't care if you're daddy. You're more like your daddy.
Sick
Anyway.
burn.
Not
Thanks, government.
Thanks, government.
Thanks,
But
big
from
government.
here, this is where round 2 starts, in the sense of, for the past 15 episodes, Luffy has been running with this giant orb around his wrist and is just trying. Just let me punch him. I want to punch him. And us as the audience, like, we see the Straw Hats start to like recover, they regroup, and there's this plan in order to cut down Giant Jack so that Luffy can and Nami can use it as a sick ramp to do a sick jump, so that Luffy can do a sweet like 1080 no scope, headshot no scope, and amongst this we get Wiper and Zoro and who we met in the flashback, little Nola, who has now grown up to be big ol' Snack,
A snack.
start to knock down Giant Jack, and in this process, Enel has taken this huge lightning bomb and destroyed Angel Island with it. He essentially casts Meteor on Angel Island. But thank you, appreciate that. And
I'm not giving you that one. I'm just gonna ignore it.
As he's creating the second giant orb of lightning, is when Luffy jumps into it, absorbs all of it with the golden orb, and by reusing the fireworks technique that we saw earlier in the arc, but it's prettier because it's gold now. But from there, we see Enel, his presumably final form. He turns into this living lightning sumo Buddha Ashura, like this, just a much more quote unquote godlike form, but takes 2 shots in, and then Luffy punches him into the bell, which rings it so that the entire world, or at least the close proximity of the world, can hear that the City of Gold is real. And Enel is defeated, and we find out this whole thing of like, I'm going to take my arc and we're going to the eternal Earth. We're going eternal Verth, and it's the moon. So Enel takes his ship to the moon, and maybe we'll visit him later someday. Who knows? But Enel's like, y'all suck. I'm going to space.
Enel is like, you guys are mean. I'm out of here. And then just
He's meeting up with Steve Rogers on the moon.
He's not. Steve Rogers is not on the. I swear.
what if he is though?
I swear, if there's space pirates, I'ma just.
Yeah, haven't you seen there's a space pirate anime?
I thought we talked about Captain Xbeard already. The space pirate?
No. I swear, Oda, I swear, if I see a hint of, if I hear a hint of Enel is on the moon fighting space pirates, Well, one, that sounds really cool.
See?
Immediately changed your mind.
Now you understand why Oda
Now
does
that I
it.
said it out
You can't
loud.
you can't just space pirates. But then again, Oda has pretty much just
You can't tell Oda what to do.
I can say it loudly. It's not going to stop him from like revisiting the past and not doing it because he's probably already done it by now.
You trying to tell Oda what to do is what Nami tries to tell Luffy what to do. It's just not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
It doesn't
It's not.
take.
Don't worry about it. There's nothing to worry about or overthink. It's fine.
Why do you
Wrong. You see? See? This is what happens. Okay. Bring us on home then.
Anel doesn't show up in the show again. There. Happy? Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So with the recovery, we get this amazing scene of Usopp trading rubber bands, which he invented, and he's the only person in the world that has rubber bands.
trademark?
A sack full of dials, which I just looked up. They create a rubber band land. It's like a cover story. It's like a 3-panel cover story
Yeah.
where it's rubber band land, and they have like a bust of Usopp at the very front. It's really silly.
Which is just like a missed opportunity because you'd think the person who would be a mascot for rubber would be the rubber man.
Yeah, but if
This is
Usopp
the
gave
rubber
it to
band
him-
man. This is the rubber band man.
What
Different
do you,
guy.
what
by
do you
the
call
way-
the man that delivers your rubber bands? The rubber man.
The one thing that I do want to like jump back to, the thing that we did not, that I told you to put a pin in it. I told it.
No.
I'm gonna pull the pin down now.
No.
We went back in time for a bit, hundreds of years ago. Yeah, you know that little danger noodle? The danger noodle was a baby.
Bippy.
No, I mentioned it.
Yeah, and it's just like the danger noodle that's been running around and causing all this chaos. Same danger noodle.
Kata just
Same danger noodle.
she just wants to talk about him. That's all. She knows you did, but she wants to talk about it.
Like it was just like the
Not
snake
enough.
the snake father died, and then tiny baby snake noodles. It's like hello. It's
The
like
snake grandfather died, then the snake father died, leaving this poor innocent child by their one.
And then little snack was just there like, we gotta kill this guy, and he's just like, woo, and they're like, we can't stay mad at you.
just a
Can't
tiny.
stay mad at you. You just whittle.
I like also that they're like, okay, we gotta find this gold. From their time in Nola as the weird gross wet cave, they are like, oh, there's all this treasure here. So they go back when Nola is asleep, ransack the place, and take it and start to head out. But we have this extended scene of Robin translating the poneglyph that essentially just sort of reveals the location of, or like reveals that Poseidon is a thing, another one of the big
Right.
3 weapons.
And we also get a bit of a signature from somebody who says that they had made it to Skypeia, and
Yeah,
it
good
was
news there.
not any big people in particular, right? It was just kind of like just a dude, right?
It's just a dick drawing.
You want to say it?
Gold Roger made it to Skypeia and just started like chiseling in a little bit of like ancient language for
That
no
guy-
like, what?
That guy showed up and was like, Roger was with like WUZ here.
In the
In
poneglyph
like
language.
ancient Latin.
Yes.
But I like that Robin is like, ugh, another weapon, but then sees the extra font, the extra text on it, and is like, now this is interesting. And so she puts together with the message left by Gol D. Roger that it's not that there's one Rio poneglyph that tells the forgotten history, but all of them together do. And so now with that piece of information, Robin's like, well, I was 2 weeks from retirement, but I still got a job to do.
Puts on a second cowboy hat.
A second larger cowboy hat.
Giant hat.
Thank you.
I wanted to say it too.
No, I appreciate it.
You want to say ball too while we're at it?
Balls. Ball.
What an ordeal.
After this, the Shandorans have realized that now that their message has been received, their their ancestors' duty to carry on that message.
Really?
Really?
I couldn't.
I know I'm me, but Molly's still Molly. Okay, take two. The Shandorans have fulfilled their ancestors' wishes, and the battle is over, and they can now live in peace. And from there, the Shandoran chief and all of the people have nominated Ganfall to take the position of God again. And I was really hoping that with this, it'd be like, hey, you know, that whole God stuff that we just went through, can we change the name? I can be like Duke, you know, like whatever.
President.
Could have an election.
Head bro.
Bro.
Head bro. But from this, oh god, I love this scene so much. They're like, all right, we stole the gold, everybody, the Straw Hats. Like, we stole the gold. Let's get the hell out of here. As for freeing the Shandorans from their like life's purpose, not freeing, but like for fulfilling the life's purpose of the Shandorans, they're like, we're gonna give you this big old piece of gold. And so they're bringing this,
That's right.
this really huge like golden pillar. Like, thank you so much. You want gold? Here's gold. First of all, don't know, that would have sunk Mary in an instant.
Yes.
But the guys see Robin coming with everybody and this giant thing, and they go, "Oh no, we're made. Let's get out of here."
Like, we gotta get out of here. Robin, come on.
And Robin's and they're like, "No, wait. They're trying to stop us. We gotta go." And Robin's like,
I guess they don't want it.
my idiots, my little idiots. And she's like, all right, back to adventure. And honestly, if it was just like 80s style where they're running and it just freezes and credits roll, that that is an awesome end to this arc and this saga. But
It's very cute. It's very like Robin's just like, wait. You're saying that these people believe that they're still wanted by the people they just saved, and we're going to leave with no gold?
Not even that. It was that they not even wanted by the same people. They were just partying with them last night too. They had like a big party.
Hard, we gotta go.
They partied with the entire country, and then they're like, "That was a good party. Too bad we're still wanted by the law."
They partied so hard they forgot about the party. So
Partying is adjacent to the law. Okay, you can party with anybody, but like when the party's over,
The law comes back into play.
yeah.
But I would have loved if that was the end, but Canis leads them to the end of the clouds, and they fall with the octopus balloon guiding them on their descent. Me too. Anytime, it's like that old Flintstones trope of like animal.
It's a living.
Yeah, that type of stuff. How the octopus balloon will get back up to Skypeia, I don't know.
It'll inflate itself and then just like, hold a fire underneath its beak and then just kind of like woo, back up there.
So moving on from Skypeia, like any sort of like final thoughts, anything where, at least for Alan Molly, going back to this, is there anything that you are going to take with you now, going further into like modern One Piece?
Al?
Like things that we use to recharacterize stuff we see nowadays?
Yeah, that sort of a thing.
I mean, this stuff was so long ago, like in my timeline, my personal timeline, like it was over 10 years ago that I watched this, so it made room for other anime since then. Like I shoveled it out and learned other stuff. So watching it again, it's like, oh right, there's all this lore that I completely forgot. And like I had a Mesoamerican Studies class since watching it, and so like all of the references to like Mayan stuff, like Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent, like the giant snake that they hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's part of Mayan mythology. They have all of these Mayan style temples in Shendoa, which is basically El Dorado. All these little allegories and references to
I love that movie.
cool stuff. Yes.
The Road to Shandora.
Rereading Skypeia, and we've stated this before, so it's not a spoiler, but a lot of the times people will come back around in One Piece. But man, it really does feel like Oda was like, this is Skypeia. We did the adventure where they're in the sky, and then just kind of cleans his hands of it, and then
We did the thing, and we walk away.
we'll get some fun chapter stories that I don't even know if they make it into the anime that are great, where he kind of is like, oh yeah, these guys, here's what they're up to.
Yeah, like the Usopp land,
Yeah.
the Gamu land, sort of a thing.
But it really does. There's so much stuff I forgot in this arc that rereading, I was like, oh yeah, these guys. Oh yeah, these guys. Oh yeah, these guys.
I will say that, like, since I'm like considerably farther than I was when I first talked about it, because we talked about it in episode 0, I believe. What our big moment was, what like a really cool big moment was up until that point. And I did say that like ringing of the bell moment for Luffy it was so like huge for everyone around. It's like, that is so much nothing
A drop
in comparison to like literally the next arc, and then the next arc, and then where I currently am. It's just like,
So I think one of the issues that I think a lot of people have with Skypeia, and this isn't necessarily a negative criticism, but one of the things that it doesn't have going for it is the personal stake. And because up to this point and up to where you are, Caden, there is some sort of a character tie to the island that we land on. We find out, something inherent to this plot is important to, like, going back to Alabasta, we've known Vivi for a while, so her plight and her country and wanting to see her succeed and be successful and be happy, tied to the format of the Straw Hats. Like,
I can say why that is the way it is. As far as like thematically, why Sky Island is the way it is for its purpose. It's like, as far as like world building is concerned, this kind of needed to happen to show that the world is bigger than just the ocean. It is it gets you thinking about, okay, so there's stuff above the ocean that we all look at and deal with. There might be stuff below the ocean. We've been thinking about this in like the scheme of, here is East Blue, West Blue, South Blue, North Blue, and the Grand Line and the Red Line and all these different places. But we've been thinking about it very laterally. Sky Island is that first thing where it's just like, well, you may not be thinking about it, but it's still there. And it's that hint of the world is more than it appears to be, even if you think you have the entire world mapped out in your head. Case in point, Nami's just like, I'm going to map the entire world. And it's like, there's an island up there. Like, that's such a what moment for her. But it's also a case of, we just got a new crew member who was a former enemy for quite some time as far as Alabasta is concerned. So we have that getting used to Robin or Saga, which is Sky Island. This is like, they still kind of don't fully trust her, but they also kind of do trust her. Like, Chopper absolutely does. But Usopp, even like by the end of Skypeia, is just like, yeah, you're pretty okay.
So, like, this to me is a recontextualization of certain power levels. And this is something where we find, like, the important character moment of Nami standing up to Enel, and also being able to stand on her own 2 feet against God, literally. And Usopp finding maybe a little bit more courage, but also more tech, and gaining the dials and how he uses them moving forward and shows his intelligence. Sanji being a clutch player, similarly to how he was in Alabasta, of infiltrating and just wrecking shop. Zoro being an absolute powerhouse. Like, this was
Getting distance attacks.
Yeah.
This was a recontextualization of, this is what everybody learned in Alabasta being applied in Skypeia, and now we can go face the next big challenge where we will recontextualize again, and so on and so on and so forth and so forth.
Yeah, you're right. This is also like where things start to like really pull apart, where, you know, Usopp and Nami specifically are just like, we are really, like, we thought we were out of our depth. We're really out of our depth. Everybody else, like, who we think are super strong, they just got destroyed, except for Luffy. And Luffy only survived because he's, you know, a rubber man.
A rubber man.
So there was this whole thing of just like, they won, and they were always kind of like destined to win this one because they came in with type advantage.
They rock, paper, rubbered their way out.
They rock, paper, rubbered their way out of it. They had a distinct advantage here. They really did. And they had a significant amount of people and force on their side. But that's not going to necessarily be the case all the time. And that's the, you know, the Usopp Nami moment of, we need to figure out what the hell we're doing.
This is that I mentioned before where Usopp and Nami thought that they would get carried through the Destiny raid, and they're realizing that more often than not, even with their crew with best intentions, you get split up sometimes, and maybe carry a knife with you at all times just in case. But my favorite part of this arc, though, that they do twice. Usually it's pirates versus the government, because it's people who are free versus the people who are like, you can't do that. But this time around in this arc, it happens twice, once with Nolan and then once with our crew, where instead of it being like free people against a government, it's just people showing up to be like, your religion's whack, and then showing them how whack the religion is.
Oh my god.
God.
Yeah.
God's a jerk.
Nolan stopping the sacrifice of some guy's daughter, and then the entirety of what the Straw Hats do, fighting Enel and just being like, this is whack. Which again, yeah, I feel like God in this case, it's less of like God in terms of like an all-powerful somebody up in the universe or whatever, and more of like they mean it like a mayor term. Like, you're in charge.
Big mayor.
I think that's Enel being like everybody going, oh, so that guy's the new mayor, and calling him God, and then him going, I am God. And then taking that in his head.
God, no, that's me. That's
Me?
You're
Me?
right. I
Hello?
am God.
Me?
I'm all
You talking
seeing,
about
all
me?
hearing, and I got the lightnings.
But it's just so funny because in terms of One Piece across the board, not the typical. It's not the typical frame of reference. The Straw Hats are usually like, that's whack, yo. They just come in. They knock the door down twice on two religions. This arc is so funny to me.
Luffy's approach is always like, have you considered punching it? Have you considered punching God?
Have you considered Rubber Man?
There's also the perception, something that we're learning, and without going into it, something that we're learning in more modern One Piece and similar to where Caden is right now, is that there's this perception of Luffy and the Straw Hats going around. And so now there's going to be this rumor. This guy beat God. What does that mean? So he beat God. What? I don't. And now that just adds to the legend of this I'm a rubber man who got a testicle lodged on his wrist and rung a bell with it. Like Risticle.
It's so funny to me because it's just like the previous legend is Luffy beats up a casino owner, and then we go from that to
Next step.
defeating God.
On native people's land.
I beat Captain Hook last time. This time I'll beat God. What am I beating next time?
And it's just like, well,
Oh,
I guess no one's safe from Luffy.
No one. Absolutely no one. Speaking of not being safe, hey, Caden, you got some predictions for us?
Oh, the love of...
We're going into the spoiler territory.
Yeah, as a precaution, we are going. If you have been listening up to this point, we highly appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you are caught up with Skypeia and are waiting for us to talk about the next saga, Water 7, please stay tuned. That will be our next episode. But for now, everybody who is caught up, or at least at the place where Caden is, which
Or
episode
don't
again?
mind spoilers.
Or don't mind spoilers.
432.
432. If you are at episode 432 or beyond, it's time to go on a journey.
Dangerous waters ahead.
So there's a lot going on right now. Welcome to Impel Down, which is
EBDB.
there's so much happening. There's so much happening. I've had to pause like a million times in a single episode, where like I just kind of like there were 3 days in the last like week where everybody woke up and they're just like, oh no, what is happening? What is happening in Caden's log? And so first of all, I met Boa Hancock and she's great. And
You're a
wait, here's the thing. I know for a fact why most people will like Boa Hancock. Do you want to know why I like Boa Hancock?
Caden, I don't sigh because I think you're basic. I'm just sighing
Wow.
in general.
Every time I say Boa
Is it
Hancock,
because she's kind of mean?
it's not
What was
because
kinda
actually
mean?
the thing is like the initial reaction is that I really like her because like her design is really fantastic. Her voice in both Japanese and in English, fantastic. I'm like, but when we first meet Boa Hancock, she is this like, I am such a badass. Like I have all this energy going on. Thing, by the way,
Caden, she kicks a puppy.
you just listen. She's in control of her own situation. Yeah, she does kick a puppy. By the way, Kotono Mitsuishi is the Japanese VA, and Lydia Mackey is the English VA. And for those of you who may be Rooster Teeth fans, you might have heard her in Red vs. Blue as Kalarama the Undying in a fairly recent season of Red vs. Blue. Throwing that out there because fun. You'll never realize where you're going to hear somebody again, which I learned again today, and I continue to learn as I watch One Piece, where I keep hearing people that I was like, oh hey, every single time, which continues to be a surprise. I also met Shocky very recently, which is voiced by the wonderful, lovely Elizabeth Maxwell, who voices Winter Schnee in Ruby, amongst a bagajillion other things for both of these two particular people. Both of these characters, both Shocky and Boa Hancock, have energy that I enjoy in that they are less what they appear to be. And that's why I like Boa Hancock. And I'm going to circle back to that right now, which is she appears to be this person who's, you know, she's got this devil fruit, which is the level of fruit, which is basically she's, you know, Medusa. And she can turn people to stone if you've got, you know, delaney thoughts in your head. And she's not that person. Like, she uses that to her advantage in battle, but she doesn't want that for herself, which is why she ends up like really liking Luffy and Big Mood. You know, it's like, I would prefer if people do not leer at me in such a gross way, which continues to happen in this thing. And every single time every single time it happens, I get mad, more and more and more mad every time. And I'm just like, I hate all of you.
It's basically Hancock baits everyone to be horny on main, and then she sends them to
Right.
horny jail.
Right, exactly. Which is great. And I love that. I love that about her. And she's also like so like actually soft and actually kind and actually caring, but people perceive her in one way. She's like perceived as girl boss, but actually is like kind of like really shy and very, so it's like, I love that. And it's like, you just need like, you know, somebody to go to afternoon tea with and to just chill with, who's not going to leer at you. And it's just like, I want that for you. That said, you want to know theories? Because this stuff goes weird.
Oh, God.
I mean,
Nervous laughter.
prepares
So,
to censor
so
everything.
Sabaody decided to Sabaody all over the place and rip all of the Straw Hats apart. But they also talked about the will of D, and they dropped the fact that this is a whole big deal. And there is a bunch of people who actually know what this is.
A
And
big
Robin is just like,
deal.
give me the information. But then pauses is like, wait, no, don't tell me. I want to figure it out myself. And they start saying, it's like, hey, do you want to know where, it's like, where or what the One Piece is? And so it's like, what? We're going to learn. And immediately Luffy shuts it down. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, absolutely not. But here's where I start pulling things apart and really pulling it apart. Not everybody with a D is related. We've got Ace, Garp, Luffy, Saul, and Roger. And as far as and Dragon, excuse me, who I care particularly less about.
How could you forget about Dad?
But Garp, Luffy, and Dragon are absolutely 100% related. It has been stated as so. Ace keeps getting referred to as brother, and now I'm 100% certain at this point, based on the way that Ace talks about father is not Dragon. Father is Goldie Roger. He specifically mentions that he takes his mother's last name, and if he cared so much about not taking the last name from his father, he would have talked about Luffy keeping the father's name. They have a different dad. It's Goldie Roger, and they probably have different moms. And it just kind of like really pulls things apart in a way that the will of D is probably something along the lines of destiny, literally destiny. And I know I'm red-haired, and saying the word destiny is generally a bad thing for people with red hair. But don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Fingers crossed. So I believe that this will of D is this eternal force that isn't necessarily a bloodline thing, but more of a, again, a destiny thing, a fate thing. And there is this
Time to duel. Sorry.
this this almost like metaphysical force that are pulling these people with that D moniker either together or towards something. And I think that the less people who have the D running around, the more intense the pull is. Ace is about to get assassinated. Guess what? It's gonna happen. Ace is not making out of this saga. I'm sorry. He's just not. He's got so many flags all over him. And it's just gonna happen. And it's going to devastate Luffy. But we also have these characters who are like pulled apart. The Straw Hats are pulled apart. They are going through their training arcs. They're all gonna come back X amount of time later and be way bigger, way badder, and way better than they were before, including Luffy. But Luffy's gonna come out of this with some serious PTSD. And I'm sorry, my dude. Nobody deserves that, especially you. You're one of the best shonen protagonists I've ever seen. But you're not coming out of this in any way, shape, or form okay. You're probably going to be so attached to your crew the moment you see them that you'll never want to not see them ever again. And if they're out of your sight, you're going to start to kind of panic about it because you're going to be losing people left and right because there's going to be a big pirate war that's happening. There's no way Whitebeard's making it out of this. I believe Blackbeard's going to be the one to either kill Whitebeard or directly related to it. I think if Blackbeard at this point doesn't have 2 Devil Fruit power, like I mentioned in a previous thing, he's going to steal somebody's. I do believe that you can have more than 1 Devil Fruit power, but you have to have one that's not the power that is in the set that you have. So if you have a Paramecia, you can only have 1 of that. So that would mean that you'd have to have another one. So you could have a Zoan on top of your own. But nobody wants to try that because sounds dangerous, man. But Blackbeard's just wild enough to try it, so why the heck not? So he's probably going to take Whitebeard's if he doesn't already have 2 as is, which I don't think he has to. He would have used it against Ace, unless Oda wants to try and punk me on this and be like, haha, it was revealed I had it all the whole time. But no, I do think he's going to take it from Whitebeard. I don't remember if we've seen Whitebeard use it, but I do know that Whitebeard has one. Let's see. What else happens?
I don't
We
think
did. No, we did because the fight with Ace.
Okay, there you go.
No, wait. Did you say we haven't seen Whitebeards or we haven't seen Blackbeards?
Whitebeards. We've seen Blackbeard.
Oh, Never
Yeah.
mind.
We know Whitebeard has one because it's been subtly hinted that he's got one.
Okay, now I'm getting the beard argument that we had earlier.
See how confusing it is when everybody's like, this guy's got a beard, and then this guy's got a beard.
Each beard.
So right now, Luffy's got this. Right now, Luffy's got this wannabe crew going on. He teamed up with Buggy and Number 3 and now Bon Clay, as well as Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock is the new Nico Robin. We've got Number 3, who's the new Usopp. We've got Buggy, who's the new Zoro, and now Bon Clay, who's the new Sanji.
Banchan!
They're back.
Banchan.
I can't wait to catch up so I can actually get merch for the characers I really, really like. Which, you know, again,
I mean,
Nico
we
Robin,
can search for
Boa
stuff
Hancock, and Shakti.
and send links if you want.
Yeah, but I want to
Stop.
The girls.
So let's see. We dealt with the Celestial Dragons fairly recently, and I don't necessarily think that they're any kind of like big thing other than they're a bunch of jackasses who kind of like are the old world government, and it's just like whatever. I do believe that there's going to be the warlords and the Marines versus the Whitebeard Pirates. The Whitebeard Pirates are not going to necessarily make it out alive, or a lot of them are not going to make it out alive. But on top of that, we're going to have Luffy's whole new crew. I'm going to call them the faux Straw Hats, because they're still led by Luffy, but they're not really a part of the crew. They're not a part of the ship. They're not a part of the crew, but they're friends for now. And it's going to be this like all out war. And everybody's going to be like, well, we don't want this guy to have all of this power. Gosh. How could I forget about this? I've been thinking about this for a while. So I don't necessarily know when, where, or how I said this, but there is no helmsman of the Thousand Sunny or the Straw Hat crew. We're missing a couple different things. We're also missing a fishman.
We need 2 musicians.
Yeah, Paulie's coming back. He's gonna play the kazoo.
2.
So I talked about it in this whole like little intro thing, but with the intro I watched, there was an order of things of like good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, and then it ends on this new character who brain we're not working. What's his name? He's the fishman who's trapped with Ace. Somebody help me, please.
Jinbei.
Jinbei.
Okay. That was
So Jinbei is a former warlord who, quote unquote, hates pirates, and I wonder why. Every time somebody says they hate pirates, it's particularly one type of pirate, and Luffy is different. The last thing that they mentioned is that
built different.
Boa Hancock told Portgas D. Ace something in particular, and Jinbei wants to know what it is. I have a feeling that, especially because Jinbei mentions that Ace has never shut up about talking about Luffy, Jinbei knows Luffy, knows Luffy's abilities, and knows how interesting and cool Luffy is. So, Jinbei's probably on the side of, well, I hate pirates, but Luffy isn't one of the pirates I hate. I have a feeling that they're going to team up soon, but Jinbei's not going to join the crew yet.
You're not talking enough about Banchan, but finish your thought.
I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those things where it's just like, Jinbei is this upper echelon of, I was one of the warlords. Like, I'm one of the big folks. You're not quite on my level yet. Come back to me in X number of years. We're about to do a time skip. I got it in my bones that this is when it's happening.
Your bonesman?
So my
In the
it's
my bones.
Right in the jack.
In your bone.
I'd feel it in my heart if I had one.
Skull joke.
Yo.
Hold on to that, Molly. We'll get there in a second. But I do feel like this time skip is going to like rebound back, bring everybody back together, and we're gonna end up meeting Jinbei again. And Jinbei's gonna be like, I am thoroughly impressed. You guys can't steer a boat for shit. I will be steering your boat now. Because he's been around for a while, and if he's been a captain and he's got brain cells, please, please, we need a couple more of those on the ship, please.
This is that meme where it's like, I'm sorry, but the lease clearly states no men. And then Luffy sent a selfie of himself. And then he's like, all right, I'll make an exception because he seems polite.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. And I think that Jinbei, based on the way things have been themed and the way that Ace has been talking about him, Jinbei is going to be our next Straw Hat because Jinbei doesn't have a crew. And Jinbei's not quite done with this. Not quite done with this life, especially after this war that's totally happening. It's gonna happen. It's the arc. That's what it's gonna be named, or the saga. I know it is. I just don't know what it's called yet. But gosh,
The Rubber Wars.
it's not the Rubber Wars. It's not it. It's not the Rubber
The
Wars.
Wagomu land.
I love
No!
hearing Mark's faraway laugh.
I'm just kind of like, they keep saying Jinbei's this honorable pirate, and I'm hyper focusing on it, but I'm right. I'm right. We're also gonna get like I mentioned it in Caden's log. It's like Crocodile's here. I feel like Crocodile's gonna also team up with Luffy and be a part of one of the faux Straw Hats in a sense of, well, we still all don't like each other. This is a group of people who don't necessarily super like or super hate Luffy at this point, but we really hate the government. So let's take them down first, and then we can deal with each other after this fact. So,
does not being bros and EBDB prevent you from wanting to get out of EBDB when you think about it?
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's like, I don't really like you, but also we're in EBDB and the government
find the
sucks.
elevator.
So
there's
like,
only people I hate here, so whatever.
yeah, it's like the enemy of my enemy is still my enemy, but this one's a lesser of the enemy.
It's me and Bon-chan and everybody else I hate in EBDB.
Yeah, I do think that this is going to be the whole thing. Like this is where we go from. This is the halfway point. This is where things are going to go from, like, we're going to have these long-winded, like, or I should say, we're going from these, this is weird to say, these short sagas to, we're going to have, like, 2. It's like, here's
so long. So dense.
I can't believe we did it in one episode. I'm proud of you guys.
It's going to get harder and harder and harder to start talking about things in single things. I know our next thing is the Water 7 saga, and that's going to be 2. Thriller Bark will be able to get in 1, but whatever the hell's going on now, this is going to be like 3 things. This is going to be like 3 episodes.
Thriller Bark is going to be 2 parts, but one of the parts is just us singing Big Sake the whole time.
Okay, that's fine. That's
for
fair.
2 hours.
For 2
I
hours.
know we're gonna have to cut up
Fair.
some of this stuff because I could squeeze Amazon Lily into like a couple other arcs, but Caden's gonna want to talk about it the entire time.
No,
like,
it is.
We
It
have
is.
actually, Molly. We've dedicated like in our moving forward sort of like plan of episodes.
Oh, I know. I wrote it.
On Lily as 1 episode.
I know. I wrote
really?
it.
Yeah.
Yes, I wrote it. I wrote it down.
Thank you.
Because
okay, cool,
we knew months ago, as Al phrases it, she's kind of mean. We knew that's Caden's brand.
Listen. It's not kind of mean in a blanket statement because kind of mean can
kind
also
of mean with a heart of gold, I guess.
That's the thing. It's kind of mean.
Kinda.
Like it's the like the boss bitch mentality, but with the I'm going to take care of you heart. Again, Nico Robin is exactly the personification of it, and Boa Hancock is like similar to, adjacent to, but she's a lot more innocent in comparison to, say, to like Robin or like Shaki, who is, again, very similar. Like boss bitch energy, but like I'm here to help, actually. I'm actually quite a nice person. I just have this appearance of like, I have resting bitch voice and I sound like I'll probably kill you, but don't worry, I'm not actually going to kill you. Have some candy. The candy is not poisoned. I know it sounds like I'm saying it's poisoned, but seriously, the candy is not poisoned.
Sinister wink. but maybe friendly wink. It's hard to tell.
Sinisterly friendly wink.
Ambiguous.
I continue to have Luffy's stance on this.
The thing is I agree with you. There is no business that Hancock and Luffy should ever have any of that handshake, because I've said it in the chat. Luffy, at the very least, I headcanon Luffy as Ace Arrow, like 100%. However,
this okay, but real quick, the whole Amazon Lily part like almost proves that he is Ace, because literally doesn't matter anyone that Hancock has come into contact with so far, be it man or woman or whatever, has reacted to her in some way, except for Luffy.
I would like to, however, offer Boa Hancock one different opinion on this entire situation. Hello, my name is Caden, and
Please see my resources. I have a bunch of references. If you can give them a call.
I have a lot of references. You can follow me on social. We can just have casual tea on Saturday. My time is open for you.
Hancock,
you can join me and Nico Robin and Shaki and all of my other various wives and husbands for an afternoon tea.
Gal pal breakfast.
It's no, just gals being pals, huh?
Hancock, don't
friends, right?
Hancock,
friends.
do not at me. Do not at me.
DM me.
Check that original. Wow. So with that hilarious amount of breaking here with laughter, I'd like to do something a little different.
Really quickly.
Go for it. Yeah.
The episode is 2.5 hours long.
Yes.
Oh.
So,
do we want to save it then?
Do we save it, or
we can save it,
or we do it when you meet more people with more laughs?
You know what? We can save it. We can save it, but I will tease it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the rest of my lovely little CrUno Pirates mimic the laughs from several different One Piece characters, and I'm going to challenge them to come up with their own laugh, which I'd like to also extend that to our lovely listeners. If you'd like to, record yourself doing a couple of these laughs as an impression, I would love to hear your versions of characters that I've seen and heard. So, like Arlong and Brook and Buggy and Usopp and
Brody.
Oh yeah, Brody and Perona and Foxy and Enel and
Foxy is one of my favorite just to do because it's so stupid.
Gecko Moria. There's so many laughs. I'd love to hog back.
Oh, I hate literally everything about that character.
I agree, but the laugh is very fun. There's so many different character laughs. I'm throwing it out there. I'm gonna have our lovely little CrUno Pirates attempt to mimic some One Piece laughs, and when that time comes, we'd love to hear yours as well.
No. What?
But with that brings us to the end of this journey for Yayo Talk Show. We have covered the Skypeia Arc, and oh my god, it was so dense.
Dense.
We did it!
We did it! I'm
did
so happy that we
it!
got through it. We did. Everybody shake hands.
We
Dr.
did
Pepper.
it!
We absolutely did it. Now it's time to party, just like they did. But before we go and do that party, make sure to follow us on all of our respective social medias. Let's start with Caden. Where can the folks find you?
You can find me all over the place on the internet under KDINJENZEN. That's Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and you can also find me on the Rooster Teeth website at just Caden, KDIN.
Oh, and you can also, at this point, all of the episodes are out. All of our various episodes of Stay Zen are up on the Rooster Teeth website.
That's true. You can check out my other podcasts, which are Model Employees and Stay Zen. Stay Zen has featured various, in fact, all of the CrUno Pirates on the show as well, and we talk about their careers and everything, which very interesting if you're looking to get into the world of entertainment in every sense of the word. We've got some
We
really
technically qualify.
wait, very loosely in the term of no, I mean, like, between the four of us, we have a breadth of IMDb credits under our belts, and it's if you're looking to learn more, Stay Zen is definitely a great place because I have guests regularly from all across the industry talking about various industries, in fact, about their experiences and how they got there. Model employees is just we build models. Eventually, I'm going to get a model of the ship. Probably Thousand Sunny first, and then I'll go back and get a Going Merry. But I'm gonna build both of them because I want to. But yeah, it's a model building show where we're creative for a bit, just to kind of like break up the humdrum of the normal average every day.
Imby Dimby is like hell for the entertainment landscape. And Al, where can the folks find you?
Nice.
I didn't have a transition.
You're right.
You can find me at Al McClelland Jr. on Twitter, ALMCLELLANDJR. I couldn't do that in one breath this time. I'm so sorry. And if you search that string of characters, you can find me everywhere else.
And you can find me at Mark B. Donica on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all sorts of stuff. How about you, Cap'n?
You can find me on Twitter at TEH Flood, and you can find me on Tumblr, Molly Flood, Molly K Flood, depending on what you're looking for.
Well, going along with how most arcs and sagas have ended, now that you've listened to the episode, you've joined our crew. With that comes the responsibility of telling your friends, leaving a comment, and leaving a review on iTunes, like we mentioned earlier in the show. Follow us on Twitter at Yayo Talk Show, and please let Caden watch the show in peace. So come aboard, and we'll see you next time on the Yayo Talk Show.
Talking about One Piece.